we're going to have our students screencasting, and that screencast is going to be done via teaching something that they've learned in class. And I love using the tool Nearpod to have them create their lessons, because then they can actually present the lessons to the entirety of the class, and they can all be working interactively together. So we're going to be working off this Nearpod, and the idea is the students created this Nearpod on their own. And then they're going to be recording their screencast via a Google extension, a Chrome extension called Screencastify. And we're going to be also emphasizing some things on the screen using Screencastify's marker. But there is a couple things on Screencastify that won't let you use the marker, and you can always get around that by using another extension called Page Marker in Google Chrome. And when we're all done, the students' screencasts are going to be pushed into their Google Drive, but they can also put them into a Flipgrid. And so I'm going to show you how to have your students upload that Screencastify into Flipgrid so that all the students can watch each other's screencasts. So because we all know that different students emphasize different things, and different students learn in different ways and may have different ideas and different takes on different parts of the topic. So for kids to watch other kids present really shows growth, and it helps them create this community of collaboration. So let's go ahead and start the Screencastify. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's this little film icon right up at the top. And if it's the first time your students have ever done a Screencastify, it's going to ask them, can we please use your camera and microphone? Now, even though we're screencasting just the screen, there is a feature that allows the camera so the kids can be viewed on the bottom. So you do want them to allow both microphone and camera access. And if it's the first time, once again, it's going to be right up here in the corner. You want them to click Allow. Then it's going to ask, where would you like us to store the recordings? If you have the option, if your students have a Google Drive, I would highly recommend that they store it on their Google Drive, because it does this instantly. But if they don't, go ahead and have them stored on their local device. It will not be that big of a file. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And then if you do select the Google Drive, they're going to have to sign in. So they're going to go ahead and click Sign In. And they're going to select their school Google account. Our school Google account's down here. I'm going to go to select mine. And so there's all my recordings. If it's the first time that they've logged in, it's going to ask them after that point if they're a student or educator. You do want your students to select student, and you yourself, you would want to select educator. And then they're all set. Now, when they click on this icon again, it's going to say thank you. And it's going to bring up these options. Cam, if they just want to record their face, they'd select camera view. If they want to just record anything on their desktop, they'd record desktop view. And if they want to record just a single tab in Google Chrome, they'd select tab view. Now, the first time they do this, they're going to have to select setup tab recording. And this little option is going to come up, and they're going to click allow. Now, what's the difference between desktop recording and tab recording? Well, under desktop recording, they can flop between different tabs. So if I wanted to show you this Nearpod and then go to the Flipgrid and all these different things, I would want to select desktop recording. If I want to record just a single tab, they would select tab recording. Now, the big difference between these two is the toolbar option. So if I click on desktop and I click record desktop, you're going to notice it's going to ask record the entire screen. I'm going to click share.
3, 2, 1.
It gives you a countdown, and notice there's no any kind of tools for your students to use. Now, this is where you would have your students utilize this page marker. And so the page marker is where they would write over the screen. So let me give you an example. If I wanted to write over this Nearpod, I'd click page marker, and the students can emphasize different aspects. They'd say, hey, this is all about science. They'd circle, they'd underscore. Notice there is no option in the Screencastify tools to do this. So this is where you would utilize the page marker. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I'm going to end the recording. And notice it opens up another screen. Gives you a countdown. And notice there's no any kind of tools for your students to use. And it has a review of what they've done. You want them to actually listen and rewatch what they've done, because they can always go back and record it. It automatically uploaded to the Google Drive. They don't have to do anything for that. Now I'm going to show you the tab recording, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid. I'll talk about these when we're done with that tab recording. So if you want your students to do tab recording, have them click on the tab they want to record on, then click the Screencastify. Click on tab, and then record tab.
3, 2, 1.
It always gives the countdown, but now we have the option of these tools down here. Now let me go through these tools. This first one is a camera tool. So when they click on it, it allows them not only to have view of their desktop, but also a version of yourself down here at the bottom. And they can move this around to best fit their screen. Now, this is optional, and this is why we selected the camera option, because if kids want to do this. I mean, if they go, hey, make sure you're paying attention, it kind of adds a little bit to the screen. Now, notice we have a writing tool here now. Because it is in tab recording, they now have the toolbar down at the bottom to write on. We don't have to come up here for the page marker in this case. This is a clear button, and then this is just a singular erase tool right here. It just erases little by little right there. Of course, this is just coming back to the marker. And this is, you know, it's the highlight, the stage light on things that you want to really focus on right there. And we can turn that off. You can have your students pause the recording whenever they want. If they want to pause it and then collect themselves, they can. Then they click play again to redo that again as well. And so those are the tools. And it's not too bad. And when they click on this Screencastify again, it stops the recording. It ends it. It'll give them the preview again. But now we have the option of these tools. Notice this is free. They can record up to 15 minutes of video, and there's unlimited videos that they can record. It does put the Screencastify light watermark in the upper corner, but I don't really care about that, and my students haven't as well. Now, it's going right into their Google Drive. Now, yes, you could have the kids copy the link and then paste it into a Google Classroom and share it with you, but I find it to be very powerful when other students get to view these tools, and I found that one of the best ways to do this is through Flipgrid. So let me show you how I'm going to have them do that. Now, first off, you can have them kind of edit and crop this if they wanted to. They can always gives the countdown. Crop it at the beginning, crop it at the end, do some very light editing on this, not a whole bunch because it is the free version. It always gives the countdown, but this is a trash can. If you're like, you know what, this wasn't a good recording, I'm going to delete it and re-record it. It'll delete it out of your Google Drive. This is the share button. If you want to share it, it's just the same thing as copying this link, but it gives you some more share options. We're going to select save to the disk, and that's because at the moment, Flipgrid doesn't have a upload from your Google Drive option. I hope they do in the future, but at the moment they don't. So I'm going to go ahead and click save to disk. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Another great thing is you can import this as an animated GIF. It won't have your voice, but it actually shows little tutorials that you can have them do without their voice. And you can, once again, push that up to Flipgrid, or you can export it as an MP4. I'm just going to go ahead and save to disk. And notice it's going to save it. It's not very big. It's about 10.4, but I'm going to go to a Flipgrid, and I already created a Flipgrid, and all the kids have to do to upload to a Flipgrid is click on the plus, and it asks, it gives them the normal Flipgrid recording, but we're going to click on this little thing down here that says upload, and it says click here or drop a file. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to select the file that we just downloaded, which is from that right there, and I'm going to click open. It always gives the countdown, but now we have the option uploads it to your Flipgrid. I click next. This is the picture that's going to be displayed, or they can scroll through and find a better picture that better fits what their recording's about. They're going to click next. They can even add drawings onto it if they wanted to, like say, hey, watch this for me. And they click next. Now for Flipgrid, they do have to include first name, last name, but I always have my students put first name, last initial. you as the instructor can ask for an email address or a title or an option, or they can have a link to other things. But I just happen to do first name, last initial, and done. And look, it automatically puts up the recording. It has the name right there. You as the instructor have a lot more to view about this that you wanted to. But this is a way that we can have our students screencast in a free manner on any device, because once again, this is an extension to your Google Chrome, which means it can be used on a Mac, it can be used on a Chromebook, which I'm doing it on right now is off my Chromebook, and you can do this on a PC. It doesn't matter which device you have. This is device agnostic. And having a thing like Flipgrid as a depository of all these, now your students can go through, they can view them, they can comment on them, and they can really get a hold of the material. And I always tell my students, make sure you teach this in a way that you would understand, or in a way that a fellow friend would want it to be described to them. So they're teaching it in their own words. So hopefully you now see how to screencast with your Screencastify option, how to utilize the page marker if you decide you want to use the desktop recording version, and then how to use Flipgrid to house all these videos, and Nearpod as a great lesson tool for the students to create their interactive lessons on. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful to you, and hopeful it will help you in the future.